So in this video, I'll be showing you guys my approach in creating click tracks or loops for my prison worship team for the sets that they do. So loops or click tracks can be the percussive thing that you will hear in songs when you're listening to songs. You hear like something in the mix that is like shakers and you'd see like a bell or a cowbell, sometimes claps and stuff like that. Those percussive things you hear on a loop in the mix is usually what they call click tracks or loops. My DAW of choice for creating click tracks is FL Studio. The reason being is because this was the DAW I first had access to, and I'll create like, beats and stuff like that. So I kind of took that experience and then put it into making click tracks and so forth. So just using all percussive sounds, putting it into a loop and, trying to be creative with it. But you can use these concepts and apply it to any DAW of choice. Usually what persons would use is Ableton, or so I guess Logic. You can use it with you can use Logic to do it as well. But ideally for live sound and for like live loop making and stuff, people use Ableton. We're just gonna head on over to the computer and I'll show you a breakdown of this click track that I made. It's for the song How Great Is Our God by Todd Galbraith, the remix song. So I won't be playing the song in the video, but I would imagine we all know the song, and I'll leave a link to the song in the description for reference. All right, let's get into it. So here I have with me my DAW open. Usually the first thing that I would do is to find the tempo and the time signature of the song. So if you were gonna find the tempo and time signature of this song, what I would do is usually go to Safari, I'd go to YouTube, and I would, let me search how great is our God, Todd Galbraith. And then what I'll do is I'll play the song and have it playing, and then I'll switch over to my DAW and basically use the tempo tapper that I have. So I'll use this to find the tempo of the song. And when you get it right, it's going to magnify. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll do it again, but say I'm trying to get it from scratch. So I'll be tapping to the tempo of the song. So the tempo was 155. So I'll leave it at 155. And then also the time signature is important because some songs can be a 3/4 timing and mostly would be a 4/4 timing. My next step is finding the sounds for the song. The first sound I have here is a clap, right? It's a nice clap. I have another clap, so just so I can have them layered. I have a hi-hat here. We'll know what all of these sounds are doing in a minute. Have a shaker and another shaker. And we have another shaker, but different sound. And lastly, we have a cowbell. So like a nice subtle cowbell. So that leads us to our next step, which is finding the pattern of the song, or finding the pattern of the click track. So based on what you hear in the song from listening to it, the original song, right, is to find the pattern of the click track. Listen for like when is it like a or a or whatever the person did creating the click track, whatever they did, like trying to listen for that pattern and then copying it basically. For reference, that's the tempo. I'm just do the songs one by one, the sounds one by one. So we have the claps. All right, so we have the claps going. Then I'll come in with hi-hat. So this is a foundation of the pattern, right? The clap and the hi-hat keeping the timing. Also, one thing to bear in mind when making loops and click tracks is to think of the drummer, right? Think of the drummer and think of the context of the song and what you would need the drummer to hear, right? So he doesn't fall off of timing. So for example, you want to make sure he's hearing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So from the hi-hat, it's giving him that timing, right? And so forth. Next, we have shakers. So that's the shakers, just adding flair. And remember what I said about the drummer. So these two sounds, I'll mute everything else. So these sounds that you know you're on the one, like when you hit the 1. So those things will let you know, okay, all right, this is the 1. If I'm ever falling off of timing as a drummer, then so forth. So yeah, this is a pattern I built out, right? You can see it here in the grid. I guess a pro tip is what I would do, or a reason why I prefer using a DAW for making click tracks, is because I'm able to tweak the sounds to make it sound like the original. So for example, I have the shaker here, right? So in order to get the sound I wanted, I had to do a little EQ. So basically we rolled off all of the low frequencies, and so I can get that high pitch shaker. If I remove it, it sounds more fat. And now it's like a bit more subtle. So that's something else I'll do for this other sound. So for the cowbell, I actually did an EQ. Let's see what for. Off. On. So sometimes it's just like for subtle changes, but it makes a difference to the tone of the sample. So that's something you can do if you want to like get that nice sounding, like everything coming together, it sounds really good and how you want it to sounding close to the original. That leads us to our last approach, which is basically mixing and mastering the click track. Because this is an audio file, it's going to be exported and stuff. You want to have everything balanced and sounding good enough that when you put it into the system, then it does what it needs to do. Ideally, what you need to have is just EQ, compression, and a limiter. As you see, I had to redo the end of this video because my screen recording was messed up, so I couldn't finish off the video. But yeah, as I said, for the mastering and mixing, like you would just want to have an EQ just to like balance out the frequencies. You want to have a compression just to like keep the click track tight, and a limiter, you can make it loud enough. I hope this video was somewhat helpful or gave you some value. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and to hit subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.